This video is going to explain how to set a seller appointment in Seize the Market, but please see the adding a contact and setting a buyer's appointment if you need to know how to add a contact in to Seize the Market first. So we're just going to assume that we already have our contact in the database. The contact is John and Jane Doe. And they are looking to sell a house. So you're going to come down to transactions/referrals and add seller. All right, and it's going to pull up this nice green page. So the status, you can choose from various things, but most likely it's going to be new lead, just arrived. But again, choose the one that applies to this particular seller. The source, this is my sphere, so I'm going to find sphere in this list. Here we go. SOICA. And again, you can choose a tag if it's applicable to the particular seller, which in this case, none of those tags apply. The sale type, so this is just normal equity. Again, just choose if it's anything else, but for the most part, every single seller is going to be normal equity. And then on assignments, the first is going to be yourself, the appointment setter, so select your name and your role. So I am going to be the ISA. And then next, you're going to pick the listing agent. So whoever this person is going to be meeting with, that's going to be the listing agent. So I'm going to have John Doe meeting with Houston Goodwin listing agent. And then address. So nothing is popping up here because I have not typed in an address into the contact. So just because I'm already on this page, let's just click back to John Doe. And then you're going to click edit. You're going to add an address. So address, it's going to be 123 Main Street, Greenville, South Carolina, 29601. So you'll say what kind of address that is. That's a primary home. Update the contact. All right. So you are going to go back to transaction referral, add seller. It's going to make you start over because you didn't have the address in already, and that's okay. Lesson learned. So newly just arrived. The source is going to be sphere CA, nothing there. Cell type normal equity. Assignments, we're just going to go through this really quickly because you've already seen it. All right, so now it's going to let you select the address because you put one in with the contact. It's really important to have the address there. If you get through the whole thing and you add it to the calendar, but you didn't fill in the address, the listing agent has no idea what he is preparing for. So just make sure, it's a really easy mistake to make. We have all done it, so just make sure there's an address there. It sounds pretty obvious, but sometimes it's not. So this is how many bedrooms, bathrooms the property that they're selling has. So it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. It has no half baths. And then it is 1,400 square feet. And it was built in 1980. The county is Greenville. And it's not in a subdivision. So property type description, you can just, put whatever you like. Obviously, if something's on Main Street, it's probably going to be a condo, but just for practice sake, we're going to say it is a brick ranch. And then features, this is where you are going to talk about the features of the home. You will have asked these questions with the seller. So let's say it has wood floors throughout. That's not how you spell throughout. Tile in bathrooms. Excuse my spelling. Granite in kitchen and bathrooms. Fresh paint. Let's say there is a screened in porch and crown molding. Awesome. And of course, type as many features as you have. Any additional notes. So let's say seller works second shift, So that would possibly affect showings. So anything that's applicable will go there. So over here, if this particular property was, say, an expired, you're going to put down, the list price where it expired at, the original price where it was first listed, the MLS number, things like that when it was first listed. So just go ahead and type that in. Usually you're not going to have to deal with anything over here. And then certified pre-owned, usually the seller will offer that up. If it is a certified pre-owned home, you don't find that as much right now. And then next you're going to come down, you're going to add the appointment. So it's set not met, set method, it was phone. The appointment was set by Chelsea on the 3rd. It is now 10:40. And the appointment was for Houston Goodwin. Let's say we set it for him tomorrow at 3 o'clock, right after his buyer consultation with Nate. The appointment location is going to be at the office. Yes, we do we do the majority of our listing presentations here at the office. There are circumstances where they will be at the house, and just see all of your training materials to know when that would apply. But the majority of the time it's going to be at the office. So for a listing appointment, it's going to have, there's a star system. So there's a document that you should have to let you know how many stars this listing appointment gets. So let's say John Doe, he's a sphere. He knows for sure that he wants to use the Haro group. Basically, they just need to decide what price he's listing at. So he's going to be a 5-star listing appointment. Go ahead and put that there. And any additional notes, and it's John and Jane Doe. And they're only going to take an hour. And then here's the previous expired listing information. So where you would put it up there, I apologize, that was incorrect. It's actually going to go down here. So the previous expired price, the previous listing office. So again, if it was an expired listing, go ahead and fill in that information down here. And then we have the seller interview. So there's a lot of questions here. It's really important to get answers to as many of these questions as possible. There's really no reason why you shouldn't be able to get answers to this. And this really helps the listing agent prep for the appointment. So the first is what's prompting the move, the main reason for selling. That's essentially what their motivation is. So for Mr. Doe, it's that he needs a bigger house for his kids. They're fighting all the time, all over each other, and he also wants to move closer to work. And then where are you moving to and why? So that's the locations that he's looking to buy in, and why those locations are important to him. How soon does he need to be there? So that's going to be October 31st. What happens if your house doesn't sell? And a lot of people, this question kind of surprises them because, it's our job to get it sold. And it's important that we know, do they, plan to just stay in the house and not move? Would they turn it into a rental? So it's definitely a question that's important to ask. Next, do you have any idea of what homes are selling for in your area? That's just a yes or no question. They have a general idea of the market. And then next, if they have any thoughts on what their home is worth. So that helps the listing agent kind of get an idea of the expectations and if they kind of are going to be reasonable in terms of pricing the home. If someone thinks that their home is worth a whole lot more than it actually is, it's best that we know that up front so we can prepare for that particular objection and show them kind of market data on why their home is going to be priced where it is. Is there a price that you must get for the property and why? So if they need a certain amount so that they can have a down payment or just to break even to be able to pay off the last mortgage, we need to know if there's a particular price that they absolutely have to have and why that price is important. Next, for the net sheet that the listing agent will do in the presentation, we do need to know how much they owe on the house and if they have taken out a second mortgage on the property as well. This next question seems a little obvious as well, but we need to know if someone is current on their payments. That's just a yes or no question. Most of the time it's going to be a yes. Again, this next question, super important. Are they the sole owner of the property? So if you're talking to, John Doe, the property is actually going to be, in this instance, in both of their names. So he's not the sole owner of the house, and the other decision maker is going to be his wife, Jane Doe. So just always ask, never assume. Tell me a little bit about your house. So this will auto-populate from the features that you typed in up in the earlier questions here. So if there's anything additional, feel free to type it. Next question, are you working with another agent? So, are they currently signed with someone? Hopefully they say no, they're not currently working with another agent, or maybe they are, but they haven't signed with them yet. They've just interviewed. These next 3 questions are probably the 3 most important with helping the listing agent prepare. What are the top 3 things that particular lead is looking for in a real estate agent? And then ask them why. So, communication is important, because they really like to know what's going on with the process. Maybe they're kind of a high C type, and they just want to know exactly what's going on with their listing. Next is honesty. So maybe they had a bad experience with a previous realtor. So it's super important that this agent is really upfront and honest with them. And then the last, maybe that's market knowledge. So if it's market knowledge, we want to make sure that the agent kind of has some numbers and some stats to share during the listing presentation, so that the potential client, sees that agent has a lot of market knowledge and can kind of trust and build rapport with them. The next, are you interviewing other agents? So if the answer is yes, we ask, can we be last? And it depends on the personality type, whether we want to be first or last, but usually we do want to be last. So just ask if we can be, and then also try and find out who they're interviewing with. That's good information to have as well. And then any other concerns about selling the home? Maybe there's a lot of repairs and they don't think they can afford to do them all. Or maybe they just have second thoughts. They really, really love the house and they're not even sure if they want to sell it. This is just a way to kind of uncover any last objections. And then finally is the trial close. Basically, if we meet and we get together and everything makes sense, are you going to hire us? That's just a yes or no question. If they give you a no, you want to ask them why and try to figure out kind of why they wouldn't sign with us. And again, that's kind of preparing the listing agent for what could come up in that process. So next, you're just going to scroll down and submit that seller appointment. It'll go into the system, and then you will go to the Google Calendar to complete the appointment process from there. So definitely see the video on how to work the Google Calendar to know what to do from here.